Guys, I try to keep it as real as possible with you. And so, one thing I really wanted to address is this false sense of optimism that sometimes people have in January. And I know that doesn't sound like the most uplifting statement or positive statement, but like yeah, it's exciting that we're in a new month and we're starting a new year and it's like you get to put a period or an exclamation mark or a line through that last year and you can kind of just put it behind you and focus on what's coming for you and what you want this year to be. Like, yes, I don't want to take away from that. However, we also don't want to now just assume that just because it's a new year, things are going to get better. Like, the reality is if you don't change, nothing changes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast, where high performers come to grow without stress, shame, or burning out. I'm Mintu Lam, and I'm here to help you work smarter, live fuller, and feel like yourself again. If you're tired of running on empty, book your complimentary assessment call at higheralignmentconsulting.com/program, and let's figure out what's draining your energy and what you can do to start feeling happy and peaceful once again. You can find the link in the show notes. Now let's get into the episode.
And I talked in an earlier episode about how December was kind of this report card month where you could really see, based on how you're feeling and living, the deposits you made for the year. And so, I know from my clients who were feeling really present and excited and joyful and connected with their family and friends during the holiday season, it showed that they had made some really good deposits in how they were managing their stress for the year. And then I had some other clients who were feeling pretty stressed out and wanted to crawl into a hole at the at the end of the year there in December. And it's not a judgment piece, but it's just data collection on the deposits they were making for the year, and the fact that they probably weren't managing their stress in the best way. And so therefore it really showed itself in December, you know? And the tricky thing about January, especially with high performers, is because you're coming off maybe a little bit more downtime. You had some time off for Christmas and New Year's. You're maybe overly optimistic on the fact that you think you're rested when really you just had a little bit of time off. You actually didn't recover. That's where it gets dangerous for us because now we go into this phase of thinking, oh, well, I'm okay. I feel a little bit rested. I don't feel as bad as I did before the holidays. So I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm just excited for the year. And it's cool, I don't want to burst that bubble. But then again, eventually those same patterns and thought processes and behaviors are going to seep back in. And probably by springtime, you're going to be feeling about the same way. So what we need to do is we need to have pattern interrupts. We need to have behavioral changes to make sure we don't end up in that same cycle. Okay? It's the same thing as the gym. I don't know what the stats are, but we all know the gym goes crazy in January, right? Everyone buys their pass. I'm finally going to lose weight, whatever the case is. I'm finally going to get in shape. And then I think they say by mid-February, it's more than 50% of people, probably closer to 80, 90% of people have already give up on their New Year's resolutions. Why? Because they're relying on a fresh year to change their life, even though they buy the gym membership, but we're not addressing the patterns as to why they can't maintain it. What's their sleep like? What's their diet like? How many times a week are they thinking they actually need to go? You know what I mean? Overcommitting themselves, not having the right support system, not understanding why getting in shape is important to them, not understanding how it's affecting their health, all these things, right? I have this video called The 2 Hidden Blind Spots of Executives. And what it's based on the fact is that I see executives go through a 3 to 4 month cycle of burnout. Okay. So, we can start it off now. So January comes, you're feeling a little bit better. You had some time off. You're like, oh, I'm feeling good. I'm ready for the year. Can't wait to see what it holds. And so then you start going through the year, and then by about February or March, those old patterns start to come back into play. So you're saying yes to too many things. You are skipping lunch and breakfast because you're busy. You are maybe overcommitting to some social events and to some networking events you aren't really excited for, but you think you should. Um, you are opening your laptop at 9 p.m. because your meetings or your days are filled with meetings, and 9 p.m. is the only time you have to get your work done. Your calendar's full, like all these things, right? So then February and March starts to creep back in. And what happens? You start to feel that exhaustion and that tiredness. And then by the time March, April comes along, you're feeling the peak burnout again, right? For we're into Q2 now. And what do? I got to go on vacation. I got to go to Mexico, right? So you take off for a week and you come home and you feel great for about 3 or 4 days. And then what happens is you start that cycle all over again, right? And the reason executives end up in this cycle is for two reasons that I highlight in this video. And one is denial. They don't actually want to admit that that's what they're doing to themselves. And two is they don't actually know what burnout is, right? So let's maybe start with number two and talk about that. So burnout isn't necessarily the picture that everyone paints it to be, which is like you're exhausted, you're lethargic, you're stuck on the couch, especially for my clientele anyways, and my audience of high performers. Like burnout to you is usually high functioning burnout, which means you are still making shit happen and productive during the day, but you're paying for it on the back end. So you're making things happen and getting things done, cool, so you don't think you're burnt out, but it's showing up in your broken sleep, your digestion issues, your short fuse or your snappiness, your chronic overthinking, your overanalyzing, your fixation on certain outcomes, your reach for sugar, alcohol, weed, your addiction to late night crime movies before you go to bed because you're stuck in fight or flight, your inability to slow down and to have to fill every moment of your calendar, even on the weekends, even on vacation. Like these are subtle signs of slowing down, your inability to feel joy or laugh anymore. Like we don't look at these as burnout because we think, but I'm still productive, right? Where again, high functioning burnout means you're just paying for it in back end ways, which usually more so affect your health, your relationships, and your happiness, right? So when you don't understand that these are signs of burnout, then you just keep living that way and you normalize it. You normalize the exhaustion, you normalize the irritability and the unhappiness, right? And the reason I want to highlight that those are signs of burnout is because people, going to the other part of this about denying the burnout, it's like when we hear the word burnout, especially as high performers, it almost is this feeling of like we can't handle the job, which is so far from the truth. Like it has nothing to do with how you can handle it and has everything to do with how you're processing the stress that you're dealing with. Right? Like if you're a high performer, if you're an executive, if you're a business owner, you're dealing with stresses all day, every day. That's why you're in the position you're in, right? Like you are paid to solve big problems. You are paid to put out fires. That's why you're here. But just like any business, your body has a system for how it processes stress. And if you are having those symptoms that I just mentioned of burnout, then that means your stress processing machine isn't working effectively. And just like any system in any business, if it's not working effectively, guess what? You're not making money. The business isn't healthy. If your body's not processing stress effectively, you're not healthy. So it's not a sign that you're weak or can't handle it. It's just a sign that you need an upgrade in how you're processing and how you're managing stress. That's it, right? But then again, it's not enough to just think and know. Now we have to put things into place. Nothing changes if we don't change, right? So this false sense of optimism that January holds, I'm not saying this to knock you, but I'm saying this to take that optimism and do something with it. Get support, start new habits, start new patterns. Don't get caught in the hype, the same hype that the gym goers are finally going to. Do you mean? Like I was saying to someone the other day, like chance of success if you start in December or July or August or February is honestly sometimes probably higher because you're doing it purely out of like sheer choice, not just because it's January and because everyone else is doing something, right? Now, I'm not saying because it's January, don't choose that, but have that in mind. Because it's January, choose to make it something that sticks, not something that's just a fad of the start of the year, right? And this episode's, I think, coming out after the episode with Megan Alton, the numerology episode, which talks about the energy of the years through the year through numbers. And 2026 is all about a blank slate and the ability to draw and design the life that we want. But again, it comes down to behaviors and patterns and actions, not enough to think. So before you go into the rest of this year on autopilot and living in the same patterns that you did in 2025, the point of this episode today is to trigger that difference. Like, what can you do, even slightly different, starting today, that's going to set you up for a different year? And it doesn't have to be anything big. Even just like for this week, try, just saying no to something that you wouldn't normally said no to. Maybe it's you have a brunch you have to go to on Saturday and a dinner Saturday night. Maybe instead of 2, you go to 1. Maybe it's instead of taking on another report at work, you delegate it to someone else. Maybe it's instead of setting up some type of event for, I don't know, your kid's soccer or something. Maybe you let someone else take care of it this time. Soccer's probably not conducive to January, I guess, if it's indoor, but you know what I mean? Just like, where can you cut something out that gives you a little bit more capacity? And it's not about cutting out it just for you to rest. What's more important is the pattern of being able to say no, right? Because with high performers, we just, it always comes from a good place, but we say yes to so many things because we think we can handle it. And eventually we end up just self-sacrificing the entire time. And we get to a point where we're like, okay, so I'm the one who paid for that, right? I'm the one who actually thought I could handle it, but it's actually slowly killing me inside, right? So even just for this week, and then maybe each week after that, you just build up on things that you can start to say no to. But my whole point in this is going to be a short episode, is don't let the optimism of January fool you into thinking things are just going to change because it's a new year. It comes down to you. And if you're specifically dealing with burnout and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start, or that feels like a lot, when clients start working with me, I tell them that it's not about doing more, it's about doing less and teaching you how to still be productive and efficient and actually learn how to enjoy your life by doing less. And not less in I'm just going to be irresponsible and not take care of my stuff. I don't mean in that way. It's about simplifying. It's about making things aligned so there's less clutter and chaos around it, because all that clutter and chaos takes energy and time out of you. It eats up mental space, it eats up emotional space, and it eats up energy we don't need to be wasting, right? So it's a call to simplify. When you're looking at healing your burnout, it's not a call that I need to work out more, I need to change my eating patterns, I need to do that. To me sounds exhausting. When it comes to healing burnout, it's about increasing your capacity, and the way we do that is by simplifying your life so that you can show up for the things that are really important to you in the best capacity, in the highest capacity you have, so you can be present and dialed in and strategic and effective and think big picture and loving and connected and just all the things, right? To me, true work-life balance means you're present in the moment regardless of what you're doing. So it doesn't matter about how much time is spent. It's about how present you are with whatever's in front of you. That's how we heal your burnout, is by getting you to a point of burnout, or to a point of balance and presence in the moment. So just take this as a sign, don't ride the optimism. Choose to do something, reach out for support, ask for more help. Make this the year that you're actually going to create a life that actually feels good, not just looks good on paper.